Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Delaney, and for today's video we are going to be ranking my Natasha Denona palettes. Now this is an updated video. I'm currently filming this on December 12th of 2021. So this is my current Natasha Denona palette collection, and I'm also going to be ranking these palettes in order from worst to best in my humble opinion. So if you are interested in seeing what Natasha Denona palettes that I currently own and which ones were the worst, which ones for the best, which could you possibly skip out on if you're looking to buy a Natasha Denona palette, then keep on watching. Alright, so I have 19 Natasha Denona palettes currently in my collection, if I can count correctly. I'm going to go in order from worst to best, and I'm just going to number them on the screen to make it easier. Let's get to the goods. So, the worst Natasha Denona palette in my collection. If you've seen my last declutter video, this was also either at the bottom or near the bottom. This is the Natasha Denona Mini Tropic Eyeshadow Palette. Now, the color story on this, I'm gonna open it so it doesn't reflect at you, but the color story on this is very colorful. This is probably my most colorful, more out there kind of color story for my Natasha Denona palettes. And I actually like I don't even know if they still sell this one in Sephora anymore, but I really like this one minty shade, and that's pretty much it. Now the mattes perform okay, the purple's okay, the blue is just kind of the green is a pretty color, but is just a little on the drier side. It's not like the normal current Natasha Denona shimmer formula that I really love. And I never reach for this color story, to be honest. So this is at the bottom. I don't even know if they still sell it. They may still sell it on the website. So I think this shade here is the only reason I keep it around. It's actually a really beautiful minty shade. I mean, that's really pretty. It's sparkly, it's minty. So that is the worst one in my collection. Let's move on to the next. I will not be swatching every single shade in every single palette in this video. I will occasionally swatch a few shades just to give y'all a little insight into the palette. All right, next up, this is the Natasha Denona Mini Sunset palette. As you can see, it has some neutrals and some bronzy tones. You've got a nice like mid-tone copper here, mid-tone brown, warm tone, neutral, light shade, your light shimmer, and a burgundy. And if you have the Sunset palette, this is very familiar to you. And this is very similar to another palette, just a smaller version that you will see in a minute. But I never reach for this. The shades are not a bad formula. It's actually pretty good. It's just these specific tones I don't reach for that often. I will occasionally reach for the mattes in here, but they're very similar to other palettes that I have from Natasha Denona. So yeah, you will see those in the future, but they're really good quality, just not my fave. If you really like this color story and you really love this bronzy shade and this burgundy and you want something really small and compact, then maybe these are for you, but they're just not my fave. But I mean, they are objectively really pretty. Very shiny, very smooth, very metallic. And the mattes perform well as well. I just don't use burgundy a lot. And if I do, I don't reach for this palette in particular. So that's the reason it's number 18, but still really cute. This one I probably would think about decluttering, but I'm probably not going to be decluttering any Natasha Denona palettes, just as a heads up, a sneak preview, just because I like to keep them for comparison purposes, and Natasha Denona has one of my favorite formulas, so even though this is not my most reached for, I still will reach for it occasionally. Number 17 is the Sunrise palette. So I believe this was the first mid-size palette that Natasha came out with. I know it's the first one that I got. I'm not sure if another one came out before this. It's pretty beat up. I actually have used this a lot. It's just now with the newer ones that have come out, it does not get reached for as much. But, I mean, look at that color story. This is beautiful if you really want that true sunset eye look palette. This is beautiful. You have some lighter shimmers, you have some deeper ones, you have some mid-tones, you got the yellows in here. The yellows are really, really good. And you have a pop of purple. This purple is really, really beautiful. This is probably one of the most reached for shades in this palette for me. It's like a blue to purple duochrome. And it's really, really sparkly. I do have this kind of similar shade in a 5-pan palette, so I tend to not reach for the mid-size one just for the shade because I can find something similar in another one that I like a little more. But really gorgeous shade. Also, which one is it? Awakening. Yeah, I think Awakening is the other shimmer that I usually really love reaching for in here. Very pretty, looks gorgeous on the eyes. Formula is the normal, really good Natasha Denona formula. The mattes, really good. Shimmers are good. They're not the hyper glittery formula that you can find in some later palettes, but they're still really metallic and pretty. You could do a neutral look, you could do a colorful look. I really love this pink shade, but if I'm going to be reaching for pinks, obviously I have other palettes that are going to have those colors in it. Now we're getting into some more 5-pans. This one is a different size. Just for comparison, I'll show you next to this one. This is the Coral palette, and this is their full size 5-pan palette. And this is the mini Sunset that I just showed you. This is the size difference, but this one has smaller pans and less product in it. And this one is much larger, but same concept, just a little bigger. But I was telling you about the purple shade in the Sunrise palette. This is the one that I reach for most if I'm gonna be doing that blue-purple duochrome. They are gorgeous. So, like I said, if I'm reaching for maroon, there's one in here that I probably would reach for over the mini Sunsets, and you still have your peach and your coral and your, like, I usually go with this in the crease, this one in the outer corner, and I pick a shimmer to put on top. Sometimes I'll do this in the inner part of the lid and this on the outer, or I'll just do the purple all over the lid for a pop. But I feel like I like this palette. I just don't get a lot of variation in the looks. It's usually like a one look kind of palette for me. But again, the shimmers in here are just gorgeous. This is that blue purple duochrome. This coral one is really, really beautiful too. I mean, I feel like the shimmers in here are actually a little bit better than the Sunrise one, but you get more shade variation with the Sunrise one, and the price difference, I would just vote for the Sunrise palette. But if you like this color story, go with this one, because even though the other has more options, if you like this color story and you'll use it more often, it's going to be a better one in the long run. Next up is my other 5-pan larger palette. Now, I think both of these I got in a BoxyCharm, so I did not pay full price for either one of these. I believe this one was like 12 bucks or something, very cheap. So I definitely did not pay full price for either one, but I still wanted to rank them as if I bought them for full price, just so y'all know. But this one is the Cranberry palette. The formula, though, is really, really, really good. This shade in particular is stunning. And the pink, I usually reach into this palette for both of these shades. The mattes are really, really good, but it's more deep and rich than what I usually go for. Usually I need a lighter matte to throw in. I can always grab one from a different palette, obviously, but if I'm traveling, this is usually not one I throw in just because it does not have that in it. But just as a heads up, you can actually pop these shades out and put your own one in. So it has these holes in the back where you can actually, you know, pop the shades out. So if you do have shades that are in these pans, then you can make your own palette. But as it stands, as the Cranberry palette, I do like it, but I like it for the shimmers, and the mattes are good formula, just not colors that I reach for too often. But this is why it's ranked as high as it is. This particular shade right here, I'm just gonna do it right under here. It's gorgeous. The flip, it is just so multi-dimensional on the eye. It's really hard to tell, but there's a lot of glitter in this shade, and it really shows, and it lasts on the eyelids all day. I will reach into this even if I'm just reaching for one shade. That is it. And this pink is also really, really glittery and beautiful. They're both very pigmented, very pretty, very glittery. So as a whole, I love the Natasha Denona shimmer formula, but some are better than others. These two are really, really, really good. I just don't reach for oranges that much, but it is really pretty. Moving on to number 14, we have the mini Zendo palette. Now this one came out before the Zendo mid-size one did, I believe. So people were like, oh my gosh, what is Zendo? Like, we have never seen that before. And usually the mini palettes are like little baby sisters to the big palettes. So it was a little surprising to see this one come out first. I really like this one. It was kind of a later addition into my collection. The reason that it's kind of at the bottom though is because there's really not a lot of variation in the looks that I get with this. The quality is really, really good. That's kind of a common theme. If all the looks that I do with it are very, very similar to the same look, it's kind of less likely that I'm going to be reaching for it all the time. But I still love the look that I get when I use it. I can kind of switch it up a little bit by using the silver on the lid, or I can use this one on the lid and kind of change it up and do this in the outer corner and use this as a lid, like setting shade / crease shade, and this one on the outer corner. I can kind of mess around with it a little bit to get some different looks, but overall they kind of look the same. This silver is a really unique silver in my collection. It's not overtly crazy, like cool tone silver like you would usually think of a silver. It's very almost khaki. Like, it's really, really pretty. I love this shade. And this one also is just very pretty. Obviously, the mattes, I don't need to swatch those. They work beautifully, and they're very true to pan. The shimmers are usually the standouts in the palettes, and that's why I tend to swatch those, because that really tells you if you need this palette or not. But they're kind of muted, if you can tell. Just the whole color story in general is a little bit on the muted side, and if I'm going to be reaching for pinks and that kind of color story, I want it to be a little bit more punchy. Great formula. Color story is just kind of in the middle for me. So, yeah. Next up, all right, this is the mini Glam palette. It's really more of like a cool toned khaki kind of version of the nude palette. Very beautiful. I love every single shade in here. I actually use all 5 shades. Very beautiful. Just so gorgeous. The shimmers are beautiful, but they are all more on the metallic side. This one has a little bit touch more glitter in it, but not by much. Most of the ones in here are just straight up metallics and not glitters. Actually, yeah, all of them are. This one's kind of more of a satin. I think both of these are a little bit more subdued, but you can still build them up to get a shine. This one's definitely the most impactful of the 3 shimmers, but these make a beautiful look together. Great for travel. It's just a little bit more on the boring side comparing them to all of my other palettes. That's the only reason they are ranked this low. But yeah, number 13, we have the mini retro palette. This is a beautiful palette, and from here up, it got really, really hard to rank. So let me just say, pretty much from here up, I would recommend each of these wholeheartedly. I really would. This was really hard to rank. I love these palettes, and I reach for these palettes consistently. I fell in love with this color story from the moment I saw it. I love pinks, I love greens, and this sage kind of duo here sold it for me. I have a ton of pinks in my collection, but these 2 shades here just made me really, really want this in the Natasha Denona formula. And especially this shimmer here. It is more of a topper shade, but it is a beautiful kind of duochrome pink blue. Not really a duochrome, but it has flecks of blue in the shimmer, and it has a very neutral pinky base. It's a great topper shade, great on its own, great to layer over this one for a little bit more of a pigmented base. This one is not my favorite. It's just kind of satin, not very true metallic. But this green, though, is everything. So you can either go for an all green look, an all pink look, or you can mix the 2. And I do both of those a lot. This is such a beautiful shade. But see how I was saying this one kind of looks more khaki, almost green? You really see that when this is kind of next to each other. They kind of look like they're part of the same family here. But this is my favorite shade from this palette. Love it so much. I love doing monochromatic green, monochromatic pink, mixing the two. Usually I'll do this one in the crease and then this on the outer corner to deepen up, and then whichever shimmer I want. But I love this palette so, so much. It's just not quite as versatile as the other ones that are a little further up. So yeah, but it's also a little more muted than the others as well. So I don't know, it's not as punchy, not as memorable, but this is still a gorgeous palette and I still would very much recommend it. If you don't like those muted tones though, this one is not for you. This is the Mini Love palette. So beautiful. I mean, come on. Natasha Denona's packaging in general is just really sleek and gorgeous. But look at this color story. This is stunning. Stunning. This shade, again, is not my favorite. It's kind of similar to this one in the Mini Retro where it's very satin-like and not as true metallic. Here, it might be easier just to show you. See how next to the others, it is not nearly as sparkly and shiny. It is just kind of like a little bit of a shine. Yeah, that's why it's not my favorite. But these two, though, beautiful. This is a beautiful inner corner highlight. It's like a champagne with like a hint of pink in there. Just enough for it to really tie in with this color story. And this is a duochrome that is just oh so beautiful. It's almost like a gold, like a goldy orange to a bright fuchsia. Very, very pretty. Let's swatch that on its own. Give it its own moment over here. You see that flip? That goldy orange to that bright fuchsia. Such a pretty addition. And duochromes and Natasha Denona, like, she does those really, really well. I do not have the multi-chrome palette. I know that might be a spoiler, but I really, really, really want the Triochrome palette from Natasha Denona because I feel like she does duochromes beautifully. I feel like the multi-chromes will also be gorgeous. And that is a pink, purple, green palette, and those are my three favorite color stories to go for when I'm doing eyeshadow other than neutral. So this is a beautiful palette. Love this duochrome, love this shade, love these two mattes together. This one's just not my favorite. And that's what I was kind of thinking about moving forward, like how many shades in the palette, are there any duds? Like, and that can kind of not make the palette the best for me. So it's hard to nitpick because I really do love all these palettes, but this is just me being really, really, really picky just so I can actually rank these for you. But yeah, really love this palette. Really dramatic, like you could go really light or really dramatic, and this duochrome will really amp it up. So yeah, such a gorgeous, gorgeous palette. So now we are in the top 10, and these palettes are all incredible and really hard to rank, but they're all very, very beautiful, and I would recommend each of them. This is the Natasha Denona Mini Xenon palette, and I kind of hope that there will be a mid-sized Xenon palette. I know it's kind of hard because it's black to white or black to like this bone color, which makes it an amazing companion palette because you have those light and deep options. But this like cool toned space age kind of gray monochromatic thing I love, and I feel like if there was a Xenon palette, it could be just these beautiful celestial blues and purples and silvers, and just like you could really go space age with it. Maybe like a lime green, I don't know, like you could go really fun with the color story for Xenon. I'm thinking of the movie, the Disney Channel movie Xenon. But I think this is such a gorgeous, gorgeous palette. This is what I wore to the holiday party. I will be putting up an Instagram reel of me using this and the eye look. I just feel like it makes my eyes pop when I wear this, and you can really go as deep or as light as you want with this palette. And then the silver in here, oh my god, is it beautiful. It is pigmented though, like pigment for days, and it's such a beautiful chrome. Let's put it right next to this duochrome here. Oh yeah. What a swatch that was. Look at the flip on it too. It just really catches the light beautifully, and it's really hard to tell with these bright lights on it. I wish I could do this better. I might insert some swatches so you can see, but it is so hyper glittery. It's insane. Like, it is beautiful. It catches the light in the most gorgeous way, and it just brightens up your eyes instantly. You could use this on the inner corner of your eyes. You can use this all over the lid, which is what I did. You can use this just as a one shade all over the lid and just blend it out just a tad, and I feel like you'd be good to go. There's just it's so pretty, and being paired like this is just genius because these are kind of like gray but with blue in the tone a little bit, so you can really do a great perfect smoky eye with this palette, or you can add that like brightness and that holiday glam. Like, this is perfect for New Year's. I'm gonna wear this on New Year's. Definitely. Like, the silver, love that for the holidays. But I don't know, it just really builds beautifully and allows you to make the perfect smoky eye really quickly and really beautiful. It blends so easily together. It's like very beginner friendly smoky eye, and it's also a companion palette. You can use this with the other palettes. If you want to deepen anything up, you just use a little bit of this black, and if you want to lighten anything, you use the light bone colored matte. This was just a genius palette, and maybe you won't be wearing it every single day like some of the other ones, but as a special occasion palette and a companion palette, this is absolutely incredible, and the formula really is amazing, especially this silver. If other metallics are going to be made like that in the future, then wow, just wow. Next up, we have another mid-size palette, and I actually got this one on sale, which is even better. I love when you get a good sale. I will also mention that Sephora has 20% off for Rouge members on certain holiday sales, so I do get a lot of the bigger palettes during those sale times. And if I have gift cards and stuff, that is how I get the more expensive ones. I don't pay full price for them usually, just because they are a lot of money, and I totally understand that. But to me, the formula is worth it. So, number 9, we have the Love palette, and I got this on sale during this past Sephora holiday sale, I believe. It was half off, actually, and then an additional 20% off of that. So, yes. Obviously, it is 100% worth at the sale price, but honestly, I feel like it would be worth it at the $65 price range. I just feel like you should probably wait till the 20% off. But this one is special edition, but it might be on sale still, so definitely check. But this was special edition. I really love this. This was for the Valentine's Day kind of time last year, and it has the beautiful reds, pinks, purples, like very quintessential Valentine's Day palette. Perfect for that. Beautiful formula. The reds are very beautiful. They blend very easily. The purples work really well together. I can do an all purple look, all pink, all red, or mix all of them together. I can lean it more neutral or lean it more colorful. I think this color story was made in a genius way. The shimmers are absolutely beautiful. Some of them are more satin, and some of them are more like that star metallic kind of formula. This one is, I think, cream to powder. This is like, I think, one of the first times that the cream to powder came into play. There's this one and this one, I think, are cream to powder, and those do work really well. And I don't know, they're better for layering, I think. But the shimmers in here, this one right here is a duochrome kind of orange to pink. Very pretty. And of course the neutral shimmers are beautiful as well. You do have a silver in here. If you want me to do a comparison video where I do swatch similar shades for the Natasha Denona palettes, I would be happy to do that for you. This is very similar to the silver in the mini Zendo, but it's got that kind of like neutrally silver-ish look to it. Very pretty. Let's see, what other one can I... This one is in pan, it kind of looks similar to the other ones that have that blue to purple shift. This one definitely leans a little bit more deeper purple. But yeah, really pretty. Not as glittery as the other ones either, but still really pretty. Still really beautiful. So definitely this one has some different shades than the other palettes, and it's definitely one of the more colorful palettes of Natasha Denona's that I have, and I really do enjoy it, and especially getting it for a deal, amazing. But the reason it is at number 9 is because obviously I use the other ones a little bit more than this, but really, really gorgeous. Number 8. This one kind of pains me to put it at 8 and not put it higher, but I will let you know why in just a second. So this one is the mini Metropolis palette. This one came out this holiday season. Also came with a mini brush in the set, which I do think is a great value. The brush worked very well. This color story is beautiful, but I don't need these two shades. I would much rather there have been a matte kind of green, turquoise kind of green shade to go with this one than this situation here. I don't mind the bone colored matte, but I would prefer a matte to go with this beautiful green shade here. So usually the looks that I can do with this palette is this one in the crease with this on the lid and then this turquoise on the outer corner, or I can do the turquoise all over the lid and just have that kind of monochrome moment, and that's pretty much it, because these two mattes are kind of a waste. I love this shade. This is beautiful. These 3 were actually from the Metropolis palette, I believe, and these 2 were added in. Just, I don't know. I think they're existing shades though. These 2, I wish they were different, but these 3, I do not own the Metropolis palette either, so having these in my collection, I am very happy to. Beautiful palette. I reach for it all the time. Just, I only really reach for it for these 3 shades, and then I'll occasionally blend out with this shade. But, I mean, absolutely stunning. The formula is incredible. This green is super pigmented and gorgeous. It is a little bit more on the dry side, but it's beautiful. I think it's something to do with that green pigment. It kind of felt similar to that green in the Tropic palette, but better. And this gold is so beautiful. I mean, this is what makes the palette right here. This color combo right here. That is what I wear together when I wear this palette, and it's beautiful. Definitely gorgeous combination. At one point, this was the reigning queen, the reigning supreme, and then I got another 5-pin that was better than this in my opinion, and I just kept getting new palettes that were even better. But this at one point I used every single day, and you could not tell me that anything was better than this. This is the Natasha Denona Mini Nude. This has been raved about on YouTube forever. It is pretty beat up, as you can tell. Like, even just opening it, I can feel how much I've used it because it's super easy to open and close. The others are a little bit more stiff because I haven't opened and closed them as much. But look how dirty this is. I really need to wipe this down. But I've used this so much, and with exception to this shade. It's okay. It just is very reminiscent of the Copper in the Sunset mini. And it's okay. It's metallic. It's just not my favorite. These 2, though, are the star metallics in here. And these mattes are so beautiful. This is the easiest. Throw it in your bag. Travel. Great look in 2 seconds kind of a palette. And I love it for that. It is just amazing. These 2 shades really transform a look. As you can see, this one is quite used. You can see how concave it is. I'm absolutely going to hit pan on this shade. I just know it. And maybe even this one. And I'm actually getting close on the mattes as well, but mostly this one. These are gorgeous, so effortless and easy and just beautiful. I mean, there's no other gold in any of my palettes similar to this particular one. There's one gold that I like a little better than this, but it has a different tone. This tone is so unique, and it is just gorgeous. It's super sparkly and so soft and really looks beautiful on the lid and does not enhance any texture. I just really, really love this shade in particular. And when it's paired with these warm tone neutrals, I mean, it's just really hard to find anything better. This one is the perfect highlight, the inner corner highlight. And I can also use it as on my face as a highlighter as well if I'm in a pinch. But so, so, so beautiful. And it's great to have an all-in-one palette where you can use it for your eye looks over and over and over again and just have something that you know is dependable when you travel. This one is also a newer addition to my collection, but is one of the older palettes in Natasha Denona's repertoire, if you will. But this has been at Sephora for a hot minute. But I just got it in my collection because I had to have it. I had been staring at it for so long that I just needed to buy it. This is the Mini Star palette, and I have been eyeing this so much. Every time I go into Sephora, it's always in that like mini thing at the checkout counter, and I see it every time, and I'm like, oh, it's so pretty, I should do it, but I don't know, I have neutrals. And I didn't know if I would use this blue kind of duochrome or not. I'm glad I did it because I really do use this all the time, especially these 4 shades. I have used this before and I really do like it. It's just not as much of an everyday shade as these 4, but these 4 are everyday shades for me. I will wear them all the time, and I can get a versatile look too because I can put this one in the crease, this one on the outer corner, and I can do this on the lid, or I can do this gold on the lid for more of an intense look. And then if I want to go colorful, I can do this one. I will show this one because this is pretty unique in my Natasha Denona collection. It's a brown to blue duochrome. It's really smooth and beautiful. There's really not much in my collection like this, which is really fun to have something so unique. I feel like this all over the lid could be like this beautiful, smoky, interesting duochrome kind of look, or this in the outer corner with the lighter shimmer would also be really beautiful. This inner corner or this shimmer is so beautiful, super glittery, super impactful, has a beautiful flip to it, and this gold is just a beautiful, unique tone. It's almost like a greenish, grungy gold. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's gorgeous. Ugh, it's so pretty. I don't know, I would almost say like this palette is like dirty in a good way. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody else, but it's kind of got a muddy quality to it, like a heavily goldy, coppery brown tone to it, and I love it. It's beautiful for everyday neutrals or a pop of color. I'm so impressed with this palette, and I'm really, really sad that I didn't get this sooner because I really do enjoy it. We're down to the top 5. I can't believe it. And you're gonna just think it's so funny when I tell you what number 5 is, because it's my most expensive Natasha Denona palette. I say this every time I talk about this. It's like you would think the most expensive one would be your favorite, but no. It's not to the point where I would want to return it because I really do like this palette and I use it all the time, but there's just others that I like more than this. And for reasons I will explain, I promise. But this is the Biba All Neutral palette. It's a big boy. It's a big boy palette. It's pretty large. So this is what the mini looks like next to it. And this is what the mid-sized looks like next to it. You can kind of see the size difference. But it's a big palette. It's harder to take traveling, which is another reason why it's not my ultimate favorite, because I do like to travel with my palettes, obviously. If I like them a lot, I'm going to want to take them traveling. But this palette is absolutely perfect for every day. Like it says, this is the all neutral palette. This has a beautiful mix of tones in here. You have warm tones, you have cool tones, you have neutral tone shadows, and then you have mostly mattes with a few cream to powders and a few metallics. So this one here This one here and this one here are the only metallics in the palette, and that is a major reason why it's not my favorite. My all-time favorite. I do like the formula of the metallics in here, but I prefer having choices of shimmers. I do not like being limited to 3 shimmers, 1 deeper, 1 mid-tone, and 1 lighter. Like, I prefer having a wide range, but it definitely is such a good palette for makeup artists, especially because you have such a wide range of tones to choose from. And these grays are beautiful. I don't know, like, this is such a good palette to have because you're gonna get a lot of use out of it, but it is large, it's larger pans, and are you going to use a $129 worth? Are you going to use $129 worth of this palette is what I would ask you if you're looking to buy it, because there are other neutral options with Natasha Denona. If you will use this every single day and you will hit pan on them, maybe it is worth it. And especially if you get it on sale, then yeah, it could be worth it for you. But I'm glad I got this on sale. I don't know if I would have wanted to pay $129 for this palette. And I believe I did use gift cards on this one as well. I did not pay full price, and I did not pay just 20% off. I waited till I had a good chunk of change off of this one before I did it, so I would highly recommend you do the same if you want this one, because that's really expensive, but very beautiful. It has a beautiful mirror in it. It's just big. But yeah, it's gorgeous. Very beautiful. So wow. But that is number 5. Number 4. This was hard. This was so hard. Like, Biba I knew was going to be at the bottom of these, but from here on, I mean, they are off by maybe a hair. They're just, I don't know. I don't even know how to do it. First of all, okay, let's just do it. Let's just do it. So number 4 is the bronze palette. I know. It's such a beautiful palette, and so many people, this is their favorite, and I would argue, yeah, this is a stunning palette. The only reason that this is number 4 is because even though there's such a wide range of shades in here, I feel like the look that I get every time I use it is very, very similar. You can do a little bit of a different look because of this purpley kind of shade up here and this pinky shade right here, but other than that, you're gonna get a copper bronzy shade. You're gonna get a copper look, a bronze look, which is fine. That's the name of the palette. I get it. But for a mid-sized palette with this many shades, I feel like there needed to be a deeper matte and there needed to be a lighter matte in this palette. Because this matte on me is not light. This is actually like a real shade, like a transition shade on me. So I wish it went a little lighter, and I wish it went a little deeper. And I wish there was a little bit more of a range in the shimmers, because these two are very similar. These two are very similar. These two are absolutely similar. I mean, it's beautiful, and there are variations in these shades, but they're very small variations. And that is the only reason that this is where it is at number 4 instead of at number 1, because I'm being nitpicky. I really do absolutely love the formula of these. This shade especially, here, this shade especially is just this beautiful glitter topper. It's a bronzy glitter that is just so stunning. This one in the middle, oh, I mean, something about these shimmers in this palette are stellar. They're just really amazing. This one especially, I think this one's my favorite. Yep. But see what I mean about how they all look very, very similar in tone. I just wish there was a little bit more variation between them, but the formula is amazing. Amazing, amazing. I would recommend this to anyone, honestly. I really would. The formula is amazing, and you would really love it, especially if you're a neutral lover. This could be the palette for you, but being nitpicky, I do have a few things I would like to change. Number 3. This is the retro palette from Natasha Denona. Ah, my gosh, I love this palette with every fiber of my being. It is so beautiful. I love all of the shades in here. This was such a genius color story. It goes from really, really light to deep at least deep enough for me. I can't speak to deeper skin tones, but for me, I could really get an intensified look out of this, which I do appreciate. Just like Angie says, I don't know if you watch Angie's channel, but you should if you're not. I have a very similar makeup style to her, where I like a palette that goes from really light to really deep so that I can choose the depth of my makeup look, and I can add some drama if I want to. I think it makes it more versatile. This is such a gorgeous example of that. This matte shade, I've used that just on the lid and it's been gorgeous. I never do an all matte look, but that actually made me try it one day and I really liked it. And especially as an inner corner highlight, beautiful. Matte highlights are a thing. Not that I do that all the time because I am a glitter lover, but I have done it occasionally and it's beautiful. And you have these like khaki tones in here. You have your neutral shimmers. You have your pinks. You have this beautiful glitter topper that kind of has a blue shift to it. I mean, it has blue flakes in it. Just kind of like that shade from the mini retro, but better is what I would think this is. And then this one at the top, kind of a peachy duochrome kind of thing going on, but not too much of a pigmented base. It goes from peach to pale pink. So pretty. And this one, this is like a more neutral version of that green that was in the mini retro. They actually pair so nicely together. I've used them together a lot. They're just stunning. I love this color story. I love the formula. I love everything about this. Super sparkly. The mattes are beautiful. I can't say enough good things about this. And it's versatile. I really do love that. I love that I can get a bunch of different looks from one palette. I can go neutral. I can go pink. I can mix them together. I can also bring the mini retro in and have a beautiful companion palette to this. So yeah, the packaging, this blush pink is this is my thing. I love blush pink. It's just my aesthetic. If this had glitter on it, I think it would be even more perfect for me. But I love it. And it's very new. Came out just recently, within a couple months. Right. We are down to the top two. This was really hard. Number 2 is the NATASHA Denona Mini Gold. This is probably one of my most loved eyeshadow palettes in my entire collection. As you can see, this gold has been well used. It's concave at the moment. And this one I've used quite a bit. This one I've used quite a bit. The mattes, this shade especially, I've definitely dug my brush in so much. I just have such a special place in my heart for this palette. I want the gold palette so bad. I don't know if it's still being sold though. I don't know. They might have gotten rid of it. But this is so beautiful. I hope they never get rid of this because I will be sad if I pan this. I'm getting another one. I don't care. I'm spending another $25 and I'm getting another one because I can never be without this in my collection. I love this palette so much. This gold especially is the reason. This is probably my favorite shade ever in any palette. And I know that's a big claim, but I have green eyes. I mean, wow, look at that. First of all, I have green eyes and I love greens and golds with my eye color because I feel like it makes my eyes just pop. And this gold really does that. It brings out the green in my eyes like no other. It's just so gorgeous. This shade, it glides on like butter. It looks like metal on the eyes, and it just has enough green in it to really pull the green from my eyes, but not so much to completely make it a green look if I don't want it to be. So I can take this shade here and put it in the crease and take this all over the lid and do a more neutral-ish gold look. And some of this just to deepen the outer corner. Or I can fully go green, or I can fully go green gold. I mean, there's so many options for me in this palette. I love all 5 shades. This one took me a while to really appreciate because it's not like an intense shimmer, but it's perfect because I can deepen up the outer corner with this shade. And that's what I needed. I needed depth. That was the one kind of thing that I was missing from these other 4 shades. But with this shade, this is a perfect palette for me. It's just absolutely stunning. It's so messy because I've used it so much. This gold shade is literally concave. I cannot stop using it. I mean, just look at that. It just looks like liquid metal. So sparkly. Like, it's really hard to tell with these lights, like I said, but it just shines, and it lasts all day on my eyes too. That's another thing about Natasha Denona's formula, that I can always depend. I can always depend on Natasha Denona for longevity of shadows, especially the shimmers. And this palette is just like amazing. I cannot say enough good things about this. If you are looking for a palette that will add a pop of just pizzazz, but that's not fully colorful, this I wholeheartedly recommend, especially if you like greens and golds. But if you have not tried greens and golds, I feel like this would work for any eye color and would really make any eye color really stand out. Especially browns. I feel like it would pull that gold, brassy color out of brown eyes. I just feel like this would just be gorgeous on everybody. I really, really, really love this. Are you ready? Drum roll. If you know, you know. If you've seen my Sephora haul video, you probably saw my reference to this, but I didn't have it at the time of filming. I was going to do a dedicated video on this, and let me know if you still want it. I just think it's kind of old news now, and it's a little bit, I think it's sold out in certain places, so I don't know if I really want to do a full dedicated video to this anymore because it took so long to get to me. But this is the Glam face palette. It's really reflective and mirrored, so it's really hard to pick it up on camera, but it's gorgeous. It does get fingerprints all over it, so if you don't like that, be warned. But the reason that I was hesitant to put it in this ranking was because, obviously, as it says on the front, this is a face and eye palette. It has 2 face shades and 5 eyeshadows. This palette is incredible. I was not expecting the eyeshadows to be this good. I knew that I loved Natasha Denona's formula for eyeshadow, but this is even better. She stepped it up with this palette. These 2 shimmers are the most sparkly, intense shimmer formula that I have tried from Natasha Denona. I mean, I have worn this so many times since. They just have something special about them. I don't know, like, this formula is absolutely incredible. With a wet brush, with a dry brush, with your finger, it doesn't matter. Whatever you do, it's gonna be intense and gorgeous. The shine, the flip, the glitter. You can't really see the glitter in here. I will try to insert swatches that really show off that glitter, but these are just incredible. And these tones are perfect. And I love how there's a light and a deep option. I just, even if we're just talking about the eyeshadow and not the 2 face shades, this one is the winner because of these shimmers. They're just so intense and beautiful, and these are everyday neutral shades that I can wear and just make a beautiful look with. And I can deepen it up a little bit. I can keep it mid-tone and light. I can just, my heart, every time I look at this palette, it makes me so happy. This is definitely a contender for one of the best products I've tried in 2021, hands down. Like, I just know this is in the running. So, kind of a spoiler, but I don't know if it's going to be number 1 or not, but it's going to be really highly ranked in the products I've tried in 2021. Yeah. And just, I know this is not about the face shades, but this highlighter is phenomenal. It is everything I could ever want in a highlighter. Should I swatch it? Yeah, I'll swatch it. I don't even know if the swatch is going to do it justice. Yeah, the swatch doesn't really do it justice. You have to see it on the skin. It just is blinding and beautiful. The cream blush is nice too, but this is really the star of this section here. The shimmers here and the highlight are the stars of this palette. And I do not regret buying this at all. I got this for 20% off and I love it. It's beautiful. Such an amazing release of 2021. And it is definitely #1 in my collection for my Natasha Denona palettes. So I reach for this the most out of every single one. And that is why it earned this spot. Even in the short time I've had it, I just know that this is going to continue to be a favorite. This is a new release, and I felt bad putting it at #1 because, you know, it's new. I didn't know if it could stand up to the others, but honestly, I wholeheartedly say the value of this is incredible. I think this was $59 for the blush, the highlight, and the 5 shadows. And if you think about it, 5-pan palette is $25 and a highlighter is probably $39-ish in there, and then the blush, I don't really know because they don't have cream blush singles, but I mean you're already over what this is. So this is such an incredible value, incredible quality. The shades in here are beautiful, especially the shimmers and the highlights, but yes, these are amazing. So I hope you enjoyed watching my ranking video for my Natasha Denona palettes. Natasha Denona comes out with such innovative color stories and such beautiful formulas, and the longevity on them is incredible. Great for makeup artists, great for everyone. Makeup lovers of all expertise levels, beginner to advanced. I am just so happy, and I think Natasha Denona is my favorite formula of eyeshadow. I think I can officially say that. Please let me know in the comments which one is your #1 Natasha Denona palette. I would love to know. I love seeing how different people's opinions are about which one is their favorite and why. And maybe I don't have your favorite one. Maybe your favorite is the Glam palette that I don't have, or the Metropolis, or the Circo Loco. I know of all of them pretty much, but I don't own all of them. It might seem like I do because I have 19 palettes, but there are more out there, and maybe eventually I'll get more. I don't know. But Natasha Denona is coming out with more, and this will keep being updated whenever I buy new ones. So yeah. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have an amazing day or night wherever you are. Please do remember to smash that like button, hit subscribe if you want to see more content from me. If you enjoyed this, I would love to see you and my little family here on YouTube. Let's talk about makeup. Let's talk about eyeshadow. I will have collection videos, updated ones, coming up soon for the new year. I will also be doing declutters in the new year as well, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye, guys.